friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me discussing, or rather comparing some books. It's more like if you like this movie or TV show, you might end up liking this book, or if you like can reverse it. If you like this book, you might end up liking this movie or TV show. I chose 6 books this go around. I'll probably do like a part 2. I was like planning this over the weekend and I don't know. I could not for the life of me remember anything regarding what movies I enjoyed watching, what TV shows I loved watching. It was just very much like me scrolling through TikTok until like a fandom edit came up and I was like, yeah, I've seen that. Even though my entire watch list on Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Amazon, YouTube, Tubi was all there for the taking and nothing. The brain was not braining. The brain cell was not doing its job. I have, I think, 2 movies and like 4 TV shows, and I have 6 books to discuss. So let's just hop into it before the brain cell decides to continue to stop functioning for the day. Oh, this whole lighting situation's not working for me. This way? Sorry for the change of angle. Alright, so the first show I'm going to talk about is Cruel Summer. It is like almost, I want to say like a mystery kind of TV show. It's on the CW, I think, or Freeform. One of the two. And it just, every season is different. It's currently on its 2nd season right now. It just wrapped up the 2nd season. I'm hoping there will be a 3rd season. It basically follows a group of like teenagers, whether or not the story, like I said, the story is different, and like you kind of have to follow 3 separate timelines to piece together exactly what happened to make the crime happen. The first season is about Kate Wallace and Jeanette Turner, who don't know each other, but Kate Wallace goes missing for an entire year and somehow Jeanette is involved. 2nd season involves a group of friends. I forget their names, but one of the friends is found dead, and somehow the girls are in the hot seat and they're the ones to blame. I am honestly a really big fan of this TV show. The 2nd season was not nearly as strong as the first one. My sister will even attest to that, as she started watching the 2nd season with me and then rewatched the 2nd one with me. But I really do enjoy the mystery aspect of it and the multiple timelines. I think it's like it keeps you engaged and it's fun, even with the little weird mishaps here and there regarding like believability, I guess, in the sense that I think the 2nd season was set in like 99, that era, but some of the things they were saying and some of the outfits were just like very much not meant for the 90s. The 1st season was a little better about it. The lingo, the outfits, the entire appearance was a lot more to the 90s. That one was not so much. For this series, it's more so leaning toward the 1st season over the 2nd season. I'm gonna have to choose an oldie but a goodie. This made its way around BookTube back when I started 5 years ago. Oh my gosh. And that is Sadie by Courtney Summers. Very similarly, it does follow a young like teenager. It's following Maddie as she is on the hunt to figure out exactly what happened to her sister Sadie and try to bring her sister some justice, as her sister is, I believe, now dead? I don't remember. It's a whole mystery, and we're following kind of very similarly multiple timelines. There is multiple like different formats. We follow Maddie in the present as she's currently searching for, or Maddie in the past, one of the two, as she's searching for her sister and figuring out what happened to her exactly, who is responsible for her sister, and how she can bring justice to her sister's name. And we're also following a podcaster who is trying to also piece together what exactly occurred between Sadie and Maddie and where Maddie could be today. Goodreads says I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, but I remember loving it so much I think I gave it a 5 in the final like a final review of the book. I ended up reading this via audiobook, which I highly recommend, as again it is set in podcast format as well. So you get to see some of the more of a 360 sound rather than someone reading the book out to you. Get to hear like the crackles of the microphone, the crunching of the footsteps, the crickets, all of those things and more, and I think it really just sucks you into the book, the same way that Cruel Summer does suck you into the TV show with the mystery and the intrigue and kind of the almost like teenage angst of it all. I recommend the 2 of them. Praying Cruel Summer gets a 3rd season. 1st season was phenomenal, and I'm really hoping the 3rd season will just knock it out of the park again. 2nd season was a little meh, but it was still good and still kept me intrigued nonetheless. The next movie is actually one that's, I think, fairly popular on Netflix, or at least needs to gain more popularity, and that is Look Both Ways. This is starring Lily Reinhart. It's like a coming of age new adult movie, I would say. It follows a young girl who is stuck between 2 timelines. One timeline, she sleeps with her best friend and ends up pregnant, and the other one, she does not. So we get to follow her in two diverging timelines. But I think the timelines are done very well. There's a lot of visual cues, mainly with Lily's hair, that really tells you what timeline you're set in. And I really did enjoy seeing kind of both timelines. Like, it was comforting, because, you know, you're always wondering, like, what do I do? What happens if X, Y, and Z happens? And in this case, like, you get to see both happy endings. I highly recommend this one. It's a very fun, very lighthearted kind of story, and it's just, I don't know, I really like those, like, dual timeline situations. It's very interesting to see how things played out and how things are different and how things are the same when the TV ends. When the movie ends. The book I'm actually going to recommend for that is basically the same thing. As I was watching the movie, I was like, this is literally the same concept, and that is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a contemporary fiction following young Hannah. She has just gotten out of a really bad breakup with her married boss, and she goes back home to kind of figure herself out and really like get her life back to where she wanted it to be. She goes out with her best friend, and she has a very important question to ask herself. Does she go home with her high school sweetheart and see where things go from there? Or does she decide to just end the night there and call it good? Again, the timeline does divulge into two separate times. I forget how you can tell the difference between the two. I'm pretty sure it's very obvious because the love interests are two different people, and you get to see Hannah in two different positions in her life. So I highly recommend this book as well. I think I gave this a 3 in my initial reread, but I just keep thinking about this book whenever I'm like, well, what if I did this wrong? What if I did that wrong? And just really comparing, like, what exactly is needed for me in this time period. I don't know. It's weird. It works for me, but I just keep thinking about this book every single time I'm faced with a weird what if. And I just think this book deserves to be a higher rating, so I'll probably reread this soon and give it said higher rating. But I'm really enjoying, I really think that those two books are very similar. You do get to see some jumping between the two timelines, but you do see both timelines kind of converge at the end and get to see that things work out for both timelines in a way that it works out specifically for that timeline. I recommend the movie and the book. The next one is a very, very popular book and TV show, and that is The Summer I Turned Pretty. This is actually a trilogy initially by Jenny Han. This follows young Isabel, or Belly Conklin, as she returns back to cousins, as something she and her family have done every summer. Only this summer is different. She has become a young woman. She's blossoming. The braces are off. She understands the basic necessities of makeup. The glasses turn into contacts. The hair settles down, and she figures out what to do with it. And her love interest, Conrad, is a family friend of theirs, and they have been vacationing for this forever, and she has been in love with him since she was a child. Second season is out, and I think this book fits the second season more than the first one, but depends on your guys' perspective. The book I recommend might be a little on the nose, and no, it is not the book version, and that is Never Vacation with Your Ex by Emily Wimberly and Austin Sigmund Braca. This is a YA romance, second chance romance following these two friends, Kaylee and her best friend Dean. The two of them have been vacationing in Malibu with their family since they were very young. Their mothers are college friends, college volleyball friends, and Kaylee is the picture perfect of perfection. She is on her way to becoming an all-star volleyball player like her mother. She is on the way to getting amazing grades and getting into an amazing school after high school, or going to play college leagues when she's done. The only thing is, she and her best friend Dean did date very, very shortly in the beginning of the year, and due to her penchant for having like relationships that only last like 3 months, she breaks up with Dean, which causes some friction in the eventual Malibu vacation that is going to occur in 2 weeks. Now she takes it upon herself to help Dean get over her, so that way they can go back to where they were and really just enjoy the summer. I really enjoyed this book. It was an arc that I had received. This book is out now. It was out back in, I think, July or June. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think whenever I think of like The Summer I Turned Pretty and just like the second chance romance and best friends to lovers and childhood friends to lovers, I think it fits the vibes very well. They're both going to a beach house. One's on the East Coast and one's on the West Coast. but it's very much second chance romance. We get to see these two people really grow into themselves and try to figure things out as they are still teenagers who don't really know what the heck they're doing, but doing their absolute best to try and figure that out. Highly recommend the book if you are very much into The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I think a lot of us are at this point in time. The next show or shows are for some of my reality TV show lovers, and that is The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, and Bachelor in Paradise. And I guess there is like now Golden Bachelor or something, I don't know, where it's like elderly people trying to find second love and like, you know, get married again. But if you guys don't know what this show is about, this is about a young man or woman looking to find love and dating. I think I never know the number because I started watching The Bachelor officially in Matt James' season, and I know he had like a record number of women who wanted to date him and marry him. But I think it's like around 30 women, 30 to 35 women and men who want to go ahead and date this person and want to fall in love with them. There were actually 2 books that I wanted to put for this option. One of them was Not Here to Stay Friends, but that was definitely on the younger aspect of the reality TV show, and I feel like it didn't really focus too much on the reality TV aspect. This version, Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane, focuses on that quite a lot. This follows young Dev and Charlie. Dev is a producer on a show called Ever After. It's literally just The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, but instead it's like fantastical setting and not with roses. They get crowned. Dev is a producer, a longtime producer of this show. He believes in this wholeheartedly. He is an amazing producer and does not get the recognition for it. Charlie Wyndham is a young man who is kicked out of his business and is looking for kind of a way to reset his image. And the only way that his PR publicist could do that is through the TV show. So Charlie hops on the TV show and things start to happen where he has a lot of anxiety and can't really go on the screen, and it is up to Dev to help Charlie get some confidence and really just put himself out there in the show. One of my favorites of the year, I want to say. I don't know if it'll be like top 10, but it's definitely up there. It's a queer like reality TV show where the producer falls in love with the main character and vice versa. And we do get to see a lot of the back end of things with the reality TV show, which is the producers telling the cast what they want to hear, them creating a villain, all of the notes that come with adjusting the scenes to make it look dramatic and romantic, and all the things that come with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise. All of the icky things, all of the cute things, and all of the ways that the cast seem to find themselves as the story progresses. I recommend this book. It's a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I read it on vacation and it was a very good decision. Highly recommend it if you guys have not picked it up just yet. Moving on to the second to last TV show, and that is the Originals. It is a Vampire Diaries spinoff, and not gonna lie, I prefer it to the Vampire Diaries. At least after season 4, things kind of died down for me with the Vampire Diaries, but with the Originals, I really just enjoyed the like darkness of it all. This is, like I said, a spinoff. It follows the Originals family, which is Klaus, Rebecca, Elijah, and Cole, as they return to a like really familiar place to them in their history, which is New Orleans, and they try to kind of bring their power and their intrigue back into action. We also get to see Haley, which is from the werewolf from the Vampire Diaries, as she is currently pregnant with Klaus's only child, the first ever tribrid, which then leads us to Legacies. Still have not seen Legacies. I have no idea if I will. I just really enjoy the girl who plays Hope. I love her to tears, but I don't know if I'll ever really pick up Legacies. We'll see. But the book I chose for that is actually a historical fantasy, and that is The Beautiful by Renee Auger. This is a YA, like I said, historical fantasy set in the 1800s of New Orleans. This young girl named, I think her name is Celeste? No. So this young girl named Celine runs away from France after a very scandalous thing occurred and tries to kind of pick up the pieces of her life in New Orleans. There she meets a lot of mysterious figures and finds out that things are not exactly what they seem. We got some paranormal intrigue in here. We got the vampires, we got them witches, we got the werewolves, we got all the things. We got some some like territorial situation happening. We got some romance and some love triangles, and I think it just very much fits the vibes of the originals. There's a lot of like more world building in the originals, I think, than in the Vampire Diaries, where it was very much heavy on the romance versus the world building aspect of the show. We get to see more characters in the originals, and we definitely get to see a handful of characters in the Beautiful. This is a quartet. I have not read the last 2 books yet. I have read the second book. I do need to reread the first 2 because I just loved this book so much, and then maybe finish out the series and go from there. But I have a very deep love for this book because I love creepy vampires. I love darkened alleys where you just see a stranger stalking towards you. It's just like the kind of paranormal that I love. It's great. I love it so much. Cannot wait to finish up the series. But I highly recommend The Beautiful if you are very interested or have loved the originals the same way I do. I think the aspects of the 2 are very similar, just one's more set in modern time and the other one is more of a historical fantasy, but I think the vibes are also very similar. The last one is actually a horror movie, or a gothic horror movie, and it's like, there's like I saw someone talk about it, and it was actually like, rumor has it supposed to be like a Haunted Mansion spin-off, and it was not because it was too dark, and that is the Crimson Peak horror movie. It is a gothic horror movie. So like, I feel like a lot of the times when people are thinking horror movies, they're thinking like the Insidious series, they're thinking a thriller, they're thinking The Conjuring, just very more fast-paced. But Crimson Peak is a gothic horror. It's very slow-paced. It's very deep. It's very much like the things are alive around the house, and you kind of like very like, how I like to recommend gothic horror is like, it's like gaslighting but horror. You know, you think something goes bump in the night and the character is gaslit into thinking otherwise, until it all kind of comes to a head and the character is forced to make some very quick and some very tough decisions as things progress. For that, I ended up going with a very favorite of mine, and that is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is an adult gothic horror novel following young Noemi as she gets a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin and ends up rushing to her side. There she finds this very mysterious family with some very mysterious circumstances and finds her cousin very ill and is trying to help nurse her cousin back to health. I think these 2 are very similar in the sense that a lot of things are going wrong in both of them. In Crimson Peak, it's very much the house that's going wrong. There are a lot of icky things and a lot of icky past that keep coming to life and making things very difficult for the main character, whereas in this one, it's kind of the family's history, the family's abilities that make things very creepy and and sneak up on the character as she kind of tries to work toward her end goal. I think, again, with gothic horror in general, it's not like very fast-paced. You're not going to get like a Stephen King out of it. You're not going to get like a very thriller-esque aspect. It's very slow-paced, and it's very much the surroundings around them are what's adding to the pressure of the story. I really enjoyed Crimson Peak when I finally watched it. I was not expecting to enjoy it that much just because I have heard mixed things, but I'm also a really big fan of Gothic literature, more or less. I do enjoy Gothic literature. I really enjoy Gothic literature. I love me a Gothic horror novel, so it was no surprise that I really enjoyed Crimson Peak. With that being said, if you really enjoy Crimson Peak, I recommend Mexican Gothic. It's very similar vibes, very slow going, and very much building up to the suspense and the fear and the anxiety inside the story. Highly recommend it. But that is it for this very messy, very angle shifted video. Again, we are currently experiencing lots of rain where I'm at right now because Hurricane Hillary is moving her way up around the coast, so my city is getting a lot of like the extra stuff. So it's very cloudy, it's very gloomy, it's very muggy. We're getting some rain, some fog, and my camera just does not like that lighting. But If you guys enjoyed this video, I'm going to do another one. Let me know in the comments down below for you guys, and I can certainly go ahead and get that started. But until next time, hit like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Until then, stay safe. Bye.